The sky above planet Velmora was dark and smoky. Red lightning flashed across thick clouds, and the ground shook from distant explosions. The war between alien factions had left the planet in ruins. Once green and beautiful, Velmora was now a silent graveyard of broken machines and burnt buildings. Commander Jace Rowan, human warrior, moved carefully through the rubble. His boots crunched on metal and ash. He wore a battle-worn armored suit and carried a laser rifle on his back. His team of soldiers had split up during the last fight. Now he was alone, looking for any survivors. Jace wasn't here to fight. His mission was peacekeeping. Earth had sent him and his team to help calm the war between the Elindari and the Dravari, two powerful alien races who had been enemies for centuries. But things had gone wrong. It's very wrong. Suddenly, Jace heard a faint sound, a weak voice, almost like a whisper. Help. He stopped and turned. Behind a fallen wall, something shimmered faintly. Jace ran toward the sound and pushed aside the debris. His eyes widened. There, lying broken and bleeding, was an Elindari girl. No, not just a girl. She wore a glowing crest on her chest. She was royalty, the princess, Jace whispered. Her name was Alira. He had seen her picture in the mission files. She was known as the Heart of Elendar, a symbol of peace for her people. And now, she was barely breathing. Her skin was pale silver, and her hair looked like soft threads of starlight. Strange patterns glowed faintly on her arms, but they were fading. Her breathing was shallow, and her eyes were barely open. Jace knelt beside her. You're going to be okay, he said softly. I'm getting you out of here. He reached for his cum, but the signal was dead. No help was coming. He had only one choice. Carefully, Jace lifted Alira into his arms. She was light, like carrying wind. Her head rested against his shoulder, and he felt how cold she was. She didn't have much time. As he carried her across the ruined streets, enemy drones flew above. Jace ducked behind walls and dodged patrols. He moved fast, using every bit of training he had, but inside, he was worried. Alira was getting colder. Light was fading. Finally, he reached a small, shelteran old Elendari bunker turned into a field hospital. Inside were a few alien medics trying to help the wounded. Jace kicked the door open and shouted, "She needs help!" Now, the medics rushed forward and placed Alira on a glowing table. They began scanning her, speaking quickly in their language. One of them, an older Elendari with deep blue eyes, turned to Jace. He spoke slowly in broken English. Her energy is almost gone. Normal treatment, not work. What do you mean? Jace asked, breathing heavily. She's a princess. You have to save her. She is not just princess. She is Keyblood. She needs life essence. Energy from same line, but none of us match. She will die. Jace stepped closer. What if humans share some of that? Our DNA has similarities. Try my blood. The medic looked shocked. It is not safe. Human blood may hurt. You may die too. Jace didn't blink. I'm not letting her die. Try it. There was silence for a moment. Then the medic nodded. We try. Jace removed his armor sleeve and sat beside the princess. The medic prepared a strange device, a mix of crystal and metal. It connected both of their arms with glowing wires. As the machine started, Jace felt a sharp pain. His blood began to flow through the tubes into Alira's veins. The machine glowed brighter. Suddenly, Alira's body trembled. Her eyes opened wide, glowing softly. The glowing marks on her arms brightened, and her silver skin became warm again. Jace groaned. He felt weak, but stayed still. Then, something strange happened. He saw a vision. He wasn't in the shelter anymore. He was floating in a dark space filled with stars. In front of him was a giant tree made of light. Its branches stretched across the galaxy. At the center of the tree was Alira, standing and smiling. Then he was back. Gasping for air, Jace pulled his arm back as the machine stopped. Alira lay still, but alive. Her eyes slowly opened, and she looked at Jace. You gave me your blood, she whispered. He nodded slowly. I had to. She stared at him with wonder. You are more than human. Jace gave a small smile. You're not too bad yourself. The medic stepped forward, amazed. Healing? This is miracle. Jace leaned back against the wall, exhausted but relieved. He looked at Alira. She looked different now, stronger, glowing. And watching him with curious eyes, something had changed between them, something powerful, and this was only the beginning. Jace sat on the cold floor of the Elendari medical shelter. His arm was still sore where the strange crystal tubes had connected him to the alien princess. He watched quietly as Alira rested on the glowing table. Her breathing was calm now, and soft light pulsed under her skin. She was alive. The Elendari medics moved around silently, checking her condition. They looked at Jace with mixed feelings, some with gratitude, others with curiosity, and a few with fear. No human had ever done what Jace did. His blood had saved their princess. But no one knew why it worked. The older medic, who had helped. With the blood transfer stepped close to Jace. You feel strange, the medic asked carefully. Jace looked up and nodded slightly. I feel dizzy. And there was something else. I saw a vision. A tree made of light. I don't know what it was. The medic's eyes widened. Vision of the star root. I don't know its name, Jace replied. But I saw her in it, Alira. She smiled at me. The medic seemed both amazed and troubled. He walked to the other side of the room and began speaking in Elendari with the others. Jace couldn't understand their language, but their expressions said enough. They were worried. Something unexpected had happened. Just then, Alira's eyes slowly opened. They were bright blue, glowing like calm oceans. She blinked a few times, then looked around the room. Where am I? She asked softly. Jace stood and walked closer. You're safe. You were injured during the attack. I found you and brought you here. Her eyes focused on him. You're human. He smiled a little. Yeah. Commander Jace Rowan. Earth. Peace Corps. Alira touched her chest gently, feeling the mark of her royal crest. It was still glowing. I was almost gone. I felt my soul fading. But something pulled me back. I gave you my blood, Jace said. The medic said it might help. I didn't want to lose you. She looked at him with deep surprise. Our kind has never mixed blood with humans before. Not like this. Is that bad? He asked. Alira shook her head slowly. I don't know, but I feel different. Not weak, not sick. I feel stronger. And, she paused, I can understand your language. I've never spoken it before. Jace raised his eyebrows. You're speaking fluent English. They both stared at each other for a moment. The room fell quiet again. One of the younger medics finally spoke. This is more than healing. Blood created. A bond. A bond. Jace asked. The older medic nodded. In old Elendari history, there are stories of blood bonds. It's very rare. When two souls are deeply connected through lifeblood, it can lead to shared energy, even shared thoughts. Alira looked uneasy. A sacred tradition, only performed in ancient times, between chosen ones. I didn't mean to start a tradition, Jace said quickly. I just wanted to help. She gave him a soft smile. You did more than help. You saved me. And now, I think we are. Linked, Jace took a deep breath and looked around. We need to get you out of here. It's not safe. The enemy might come back. The older medic stepped forward. There's something else. The enemy, the Dravar, sent a message. They know the princess is alive, and they are angry. They will come for her. Jace's jaw tightened. Then we need to move now. But Alira sat up, her energy returning quickly. I'm not leaving without understanding what's happening to me. I feel something growing inside me, something powerful, but strange. It's nodded. You're not alone in this. Whatever this is, we'll face it together. Suddenly, Jace felt something sharp in his mind. A flash, a voice that wasn't his. They are coming. He looked at Alira. She had the same look of shock. You heard that too? She asked. He nodded. That wasn't my thought. Wasn't mine either, she whispered. The medics stepped back, murmuring among themselves. The bond was real. It had already begun to show its power. Just then, a loud alarm rang through the shelter. Red lights flashed. The door locked down. One of the Elindari soldiers ran in, panting. The Dravari are outside. 10 ships. They've surrounded the area. Jace grabbed his weapon and looked at Alira. Can you walk? She stood up slowly, her balance steady. Yes, I'm stronger than I was before. The old medic handed Jace a small glowing cube. This will lead you to the hidden path. Old Lindari tunnels. We'll take her there. It is your only chance. Alira reached for a long silver cloak and wrapped it around herself. She looked at Jace and nodded. Let's go. They ran through the back of the shelter, following the path lit by the glowing cube. Behind them, explosions shook the ground. The Dravari had arrived as they entered the ancient tunnels. Alira looked at Jace. You didn't just give me your blood, she said. You gave me your strength, and maybe something more. Jace smiled slightly even as he ran. Let's find out what that something is after we survive this. Together, they disappeared into the dark tunnels, not knowing what waited ahead, but knowing they were no longer alone. The ancient tunnels of Velmora were cold and silent. Strange glowing crystals lined the walls, lighting the path ahead. The air smelled like old stone and something sweet, like forgotten flowers. Jace Rowan held his laser rifle tightly, his eyes scanning every corner. Behind him, Princess Alira walked quietly, her silver cloak brushing the dusty floor. They had been walking for over an hour. The Dravari had not followed them into the tunnels yet, but Jace knew they wouldn't give up. Easily. These tunnels are older than my people, Alira said softly. Jace looked back. How far do they go? Some say they reached the planet's core. Others say they were made by the ancients, long before the Elindari came here. Jace paused. Ancients? Like a lost race? Alira nodded. Yes, my people believe the ancients were guardians of peace. They vanished long ago, but left behind secrets like the Gate of Harmony, the Stirred, and maybe even these tunnels. Jace said nothing, but he remembered the glowing tree from his vision. Could that have been the star root? Suddenly he felt a sharp pain in his head. He stumbled, dropping to one knee. His mind filled with strange images, stars spinning, a city made of glass, and a voice whispering in a language he didn't understand. Alira rushed to his side. Jace. He looked up at her, sweat on his face. Did you feel that? She looked stunned. Yes, I saw something too. City floating. In the sky? I've never seen it before, but I felt like I belonged there. Jace breathed deeply. It's the bond. It's getting stronger. Alira helped him stand. We need to understand it. This bond, it's not just between us. It's showing us something important. They continued walking, the silence around, them filled only with the hum of the crystals. Then they reached a large stone door covered in symbols. Alira touched it, and the symbols began to glow. The door knows me, she whispered as it opened slowly. A soft light poured into the tunnel. Inside was a wide circular chamber with a dome ceiling. In the center stood a small fountain made of white stone. Water trickled gently from its center, glowing with blue light. Jace stepped in, feeling peace wash over him. This place is sacred, Alira said. It's called the Chamber of Echoes. Our ancestors came here to hear the truth within themselves. Jace walked to the fountain and looked into the water. But instead of his reflection, he saw something else. A young Elindari child, then the child growing into a princess. He saw Alira's memories. He gasped and stepped back. I saw your childhood, Alira. Looked surprised. What part? You standing under a crystal tree, your mother singing to you. She touched her chest. That's one of my first memories. You really saw it? Jace nodded, clear as day. Alira walked to the fountain and touched the water. Her eyes filled. With light now I see you, Earth. You're home. You were just a boy, looking at the stars. Tears welled in her eyes. You always wanted to fly. To protect, even as a child. Jace looked down. It's true. They stood in silence, the bond between them now open. Their thoughts, memories, and emotions were beginning to blend. They could feel each other's pain and hope. I think I understand now, Alira said. This bond isn't just about saving me. It was meant to connect us, to show us the path forward. Just then, the walls of the chamber trembled. Dust fell from above. They found us, Jace said. Alira turned. There's another way out. Behind the fountain. They rushed to the back wall, where Alira touched a glowing stone. Another door opened, revealing a narrow passage. As they entered, the sound of footsteps and weapons echoed behind them. The Dravari were close. They ran through the narrow tunnel. At one point, the walls opened into a balcony, overlooking a vast underground cave. Glowing vines hung from above, and a river of light flowed below. It was beautiful. We're close, Alira said. There's a sanctuary ahead, a safe place. Jace looked at her. Do you feel stronger? She nodded. Yes. Your blood didn't just save me. It awakened something inside me. I feel more alive. Suddenly, she raised her hand. A soft light appeared in her palm, floated like a star. Jace stared in. Ah, what is that? I don't know, she said honestly. As they entered the sanctuary, a quiet, temple-like room carved into the rock, Alira sat down to rest. Jace stood guard at the door. I think the Dravari fear what we've become, Alira said. They sense the bond. They want to destroy it before others learn the truth. What truth? Jace asked. That our kinds are not meant to be enemies, she replied. That we are stronger together. That unity is possible. Jace nodded slowly. Then we have to protect that truth, no matter what. As the soft light from Alira's palm floated above them, Jace felt a calm strength fill his heart. He had come to Velmora as a soldier. But now, he was something more. He and Alira were bonded not just by blood, but by purpose, and their journey was only just beginning. The sanctuary inside the mountain was calm. Glowing blue crystals lit the high ceiling, and the air felt warm and peaceful. But peace never lasted long during war. Outside, danger was moving like a dark cloud. Jace sat near the entrance with his weapon across his lap. His ears were trained to catch even the slightest sound. Princess Alira sat on a smooth stone platform, her hands resting on her knees. Her eyes were closed, and the light floating around her hands pulsed like a heartbeat. Since the bond, strange new energy flowed through her body. She was still learning how to control it. I can hear them, Alira whispered. Jace turned quickly. Who? The Dravari? They're near? I feel their anger, like fire in the wind. Jace stood and walked to the entrance. He looked down the mountain path. In the distance, dark shadows moved across the rocks. He counted at least 5, maybe more. They're scouting the area, he said. We need to leave before they find this place. Alira opened her eyes. Where can we go? They'll hunt us forever. We'll find the old city, Jace replied. The one from your vision. The floating city. Maybe there are answers there. Alira nodded. Yes, I felt something in that vision, like a calling. She stood up and walked beside Jace. Their bond still pulsed between them. Even in silence, they could feel each other's thoughts, each other's fear and hope. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the sanctuary. A blast. They've found us. Jace shouted. The ground shook. Rocks fell from the ceiling. The entrance exploded with smoke and fire as dark figures rushed in. Dravari soldiers, tall, black-armored warriors with glowing red eyes. Jace fired quickly, hitting 2. Alira raised her hands and light shot out, forming a glowing shield that stopped enemy blasts. They keep coming. Jace yelled. Follow me, Alira shouted. She led him to a hidden passage behind the stone wall. The path was narrow, and they had to run fast as enemy blasts echoed behind them. They raced through the tunnels. The path twisted and turned until they reached a cliffside cave that opened to the outside world. Bright light from Velmora's twin suns lit the valley below. In the distance, a large structure floated in the sky. Jace stared in awe. That's it, the city from your vision. Alira nodded. It's called El Varen, the city of the first light. My ancestors once lived there. How do we get to it? Jace asked. It's floating. So there's a lift platform near the cliff base, she said. Old Elendari tech. If it still works, it can take us up. Deep growl came from behind. They turned. Dan saw a tall Dravari commander, dark armor shining, standing with a sharp staff in his hand. His face was hidden, but his voice was clear. The bond must end, he growled. The blood of a human shall not mix with our enemies. You bring weakness. Jace stepped in front of Alira. You'll have to go through me. I will. The Dravari said coldly. He charged. Jace fought hard, blocking the staff with his weapon. Sparks flew as metal clashed. The Dravari was fast, but Jace was strong and smart. He dodged, rolled, and hit back with all his power. Alira raised her hands again, light gathered in her palms, glowing brighter. The power inside her was rising. The Dravari struck Jace's shoulder, knocking him down. Alira stepped forward. Enough. She released the light from her hands. It flew like a wave and hit the Dravari. He screamed as his armor cracked. Dropped to one knee. This is only the beginning, he hissed. Then vanished in a burst of red smoke. Jace groaned, holding his shoulder. That guy was tough. Alira helped him up. He won't be the last. They reached the cliff base and found the ancient lift platform. It was round, made of stone and light. Alira placed her hand on it. The platform glowed, then slowly rose into the air, floating toward the sky as they rose higher. They looked down at the valley below. The Dravari will never stop chasing us, Jace said. Alira looked at him. Right. Then we must stay ahead of them, and we must learn why this bond was formed. She held out her hand. He took it. I'm glad I gave you my blood, he said quietly, and I'm glad I received it. She replied with a smile as the platform rose toward Elvaron. The floating city of the Elendari, the sun broke through the clouds. A beam of light shone down on them, as if the stars themselves were watching. Far below, in the shadows of the valley, the Dravari regrouped. Their commander stood on a high rock, watching the sky. We must act fast, he growled. If they reach the gate of harmony, everything changes. Back on the rising platform, Jace and Alira stood side by side, their bond growing stronger with each moment. Their journey was full of danger, but they were no longer afraid. Together, they would face the darkness. Together, they would discover the truth. The floating city of Elvaron stood like a dream in the sky. White towers sparkled in the sunlight, and golden bridges connected platforms that floated above the clouds. Birds with shining wings flew between the towers, and the soft hum of ancient power echoed in the air. Jack and Alira stepped off the lift platform onto a glowing stone path. Around them, the city seemed quiet and peaceful but old. It had not been touched by war. It had not seen visitors in a long time. It's beautiful, Jace said softly. It was the heart of my people long ago, Alira replied. Now it sleeps. But I believe the answers we need are here. They walked through the city, past tall statues of Elendari kings and queens, and gardens filled with silver flowers. Jace noticed strange symbols on the walls, circles, stars, and trees with many branches. What do these mean? He asked, pointing to a wall painting. Alira stepped closer. This tells the story of the star bond, the bond between us, Jace asked. She nodded slowly. Yes, the star bond was said to connect to souls from different worlds. A human and an Elendar was rare, almost a myth. But if it happened, it would awaken the gate of harmony, an ancient device that could bring peace or great change to the galaxy. Jace looked serious. So this bond was meant to happen. Maybe Alira whispered. Or maybe destiny found us in the middle of war. They continued deeper into the city until they reached a large hall made of crystal and stone. Inside, a giant tree stood at the center. Its leaves were made of glowing light, and its roots spread into the floor like rivers of stars. Jace stepped closer. This is it. This is what I saw in my vision. Alira touched the tree gently, the star root, the heart of Elveron. It connects all Elendary minds. If we focus here, we may learn the truth about our bond and about the gate. They both placed their hands on the trunk. Soft light surrounded them. Suddenly their minds were pulled into a vision. They were no longer in the hall. They stood in space, looking at stars being born. Then they saw the ancient stall, glowing beings, who walked among galaxies. One ancient reached out, placing a star into the hands of a human and an Elendary. Then came war. Worlds burning. The gate of harmony locked away. Finally, they saw the gate around. Floating structure with rings of light spinning around it. It waited silently in a hidden place, waiting for the star bond to awaken it. Then the vision ended. Jace and Alira stepped back, breathing hard. "We saw it," Jace said. "The gate is real, and we're the ones who can open it." Alira nodded. "But we must find it first." Suddenly the ground shook. Deep boom echoed across the city. "They found us," Jace said, grabbing his weapon. Outside Dravari, ships floated in the sky. Troops landed on the outer platforms. Their commander stood tall, pointing at the hall. "They are inside the hall of the Star Root," he shouted. "Capture them alive. We need to leave." "Now, there's a transport tube under the hall," Alira said quickly. "It leads to the sky tunnels. We can escape through there." They rushed down a spiral path behind the Star Root. As they entered the transport tube, a round pod slid open. They stepped in, and the doors closed. With a soft hum, the pod shot forward through a tunnel of light. Behind them, the Dravari broke into the hall, but they were too late. Inside the fast-moving pod, Jace looked at Alira. "Where does this tunnel lead?" "To the ancient observatory," she replied. "The ancients once used it to watch the stars. But below it, the gate of harmony rests." Jace nodded, "and that's where we go." A few minutes later, the pod stopped at a cliffside platform. In front of them stood a tall, round building with a dome roof and crystal windows. Stars could be seen glowing inside the glass. They entered the observatory. It was quiet and filled with strange machines. In the center of the room was a round door with glowing rings, the gate. Alira walked up to it. "This is it." Jace placed his hand beside hers on the center stone. The gate's rings began to spin slowly. Lights danced in the air. "It's responding," he said. Then a deep voice echoed inside their minds. "Starbond confirmed. Harmony protocol unlocked." A light beam rose from the gate and shot into the sky. A wave of soft energy spread across the land. At that moment, all weapons in the nearby area shut down. The Dravari ships powered off. Soldiers looked at each other, confused. The gate had released a peace wave. Alira turned to Jace. "This is the beginning. The gate is awake. The galaxy will feel it." "But the Dravari won't stop," Jace warned. "They'll fight harder now." Alira looked calm. "Then we stand together. We protect the gate. And we show them that unity is stronger than fear." Jace nodded. "You're not alone, princess," she smiled. "Neither are you, warrior." Outside, the sky was changing. The stars above glowed brighter, and a soft wind blew across the valley. The secrets of the ancients had been revealed. The gate of harmony had awakened, and the bond between Jace and Alira was no longer just a linkage, was a light that could guide the whole galaxy. The sun rose over the valley, painting the sky with orange and pink. The floating city of Elveron glowed softly in the morning light. But beneath the calm surface, war was about to break again. Commander Jace Rowan stood with Princess Alira on a high platform overlooking the Gate of Harmony. Round them, humans and islandary soldiers prepared for battle. The Dravari fleet had returned larger and more determined. Jace checked his weapon and looked at Alira. She stood tall, her silver cloak shining like a beacon. The strange light still floated above her hands, stronger than ever. "We don't have much time," Jace said. "They want to destroy the gate," Alira nodded. "But we have something they don't. The bond. The power to unite." Suddenly alarms blared across the city. Red lights flashed. The Dravari ships moved in fast. weapons charging. "Hold your positions," Jace shouted. "Protect the gate at all costs." The battle began. Laser beams and energy blasts filled the sky. Explosions shook the ground. The humans and Elendari fought side by side, their bond giving them courage. Alira raised her hands, sending waves of light that shielded their forces. She moved with grace and power, stronger than anyone had ever seen. Jace fought with all his strength. His weapon fired steadily, taking down enemy soldiers. But the Dravari commander, the same one who attacked them before, was leading the charge. He came closer, his dark armor glowing red with anger. "Your bond will fail," he yelled. "You cannot stop us." Jace stepped forward, blocking the commander's path. The two warriors clashed, metal striking metal. Alira focused her energy on the gate. The rings of light spun faster. The power. Inside Grudot, suddenly, a bright pulse shot from the gate, spreading like a wave. The Dravari weapons stopped firing. Their ships froze in the air. Confused, their soldiers lowered their weapons. Alira smiled softly. "The gate is sending a message. Peace." The Dravari commander growled but couldn't move. Slowly, his armor lost its glow. His anger faded. The soldiers around him looked at each other, unsure. Jack lowered his weapon. "It's over. The war can end." The Dravari commander dropped to his knees and looked up at Alira. "You have shown us a new way," he said quietly. Alira stepped down and extended her hand. "Join us," she said. "Together we can build a better future." One by one, the Dravari soldiers lowered their weapons and stepped forward. The battle was over. Jace looked at Alira, proud and amazed. "You did it?" She smiled. "We did it, together." Days later, the leaders of all the races gathered in El Veron. The Gate of Harmony stood at the center, a symbol of unity and hope. Alira was crowned queen, and Jace was named ambassador between their worlds. But most important was the bond between them, a bond of trust, courage, and hope. It was proof that, even in the darkest times, one act of kindness could change the fate of many. The galaxy was ready for a new beginning, and the story of the human warrior and the alien princess became a legend of peace for generations to come.